Previously on The New Avengers. When a breakout occurs at a high-tech maximum security prison, Captain America, along with other heroes, battle the rioting criminals. However, over 40 criminals escaped back into the world. As a result of this outbreak, Captain America convinces Iron Man to restart the Avengers. Now, operating out of Stark Tower, the New Avengers take on the responsibility of finding the remaining prison escapees. To help out with this mission, Captain America hires the mysterious RONIN.
Welcome to A Marvelous Life, where we take all your favorite Marvel stories and present them in a fun and digestible manner. As always, I'm Nashology, and today we are continuing our journey through the New Avengers series by Brian Michael Bendis. Before I continue, make sure you smash that like button so I know which videos to focus on. And while we're at it, leave a comment below and let me know who your favorite DC character is. Just kidding, I don't care who your favorite DC character is. Sorry. So, what have we covered so far? Well, we've established the reason the Avengers have returned, to deal with the escaped prisoners, which is in part 1 of the series. If you happen to miss either of those, go back and check them out, somewhere up there. Today we are looking at 2 characters in detail, RONIN and Spider-Woman. We haven't learned much about RONIN yet, so I'm gonna keep my mouth closed on that one. As for Spider-Woman, we will find out what's going on with her. I know, this series is going all in on showcasing Spider-Woman. Well, you gotta market the book somehow.
Sizzling spider springs. I'm about to be sprung.
Previously, it seemed like she was working for an unknown employer and using her new position to spy on the Avengers. Is she? We will find out. I think that's enough exposition. Let's jump right into it. This is the story of the New Avengers, Part 3. As members of the Clan Yashida gather, swords raised and guns at the ready, the mysterious RONIN welcomes the advance. This is a fight they will wish they avoided. With the attackers incapacitated, the mysterious RONIN scans the room. Now, who will be the first to talk? As the sun prepares to set over a peaceful summer day in Central Park, Steve Rogers approaches Matt Murdock, the alter ego of the hero known as Daredevil. Cutting straight to the point, Steve explains why they're here. They need help finding Kenichiro Harada, the Silver Samurai. The Silver Samurai is both a recurring villain in the Marvel Universe, as well as a sometimes hero. He's also a mutant. He has the ability to create a form of energy and imbue his sword with it. What does this mean? Well, essentially, it allows his sword to cut through almost any known material. Almost. Anyways, the Silver Samurai is typically associated with Clan Yashida, a criminal organization in the Japanese underworld. Clan Yashida equals bad. Steve continues, Harada was among the prisoners who escaped from the raft. During the night of the escape, he was picked up and flown back to Japan. He cannot be allowed to return to the head of a criminal organization. Matt theorizes that Clan Yashida must be making moves. With Harada at the head of the table, they could become a dangerous threat. Although concerned, Matt reminds Steve that Daredevil absolutely cannot join the Avengers. He's dealing with enough personal stress as it is. But there is someone else. Someone who knows the Japan underworld like the back of their hand. Someone who can get Steve exactly what he needs. Within the courtyard of the fortress, a gathering of men surround an ornate chest. Harada looks on in satisfaction as the chest is opened, revealing his immaculate Silver Samurai armor. It shines as if never been worn. Picking up his helmet, Harada studies the silver plating. It feels just as good as he remembered. But the homecoming is quickly dashed as courtyard doors slide open with a thud. A woman dressed in complete green attire approaches. The uniform color can only mean one thing: Hydra. If you have any knowledge about the Marvel Universe, then I probably don't need to explain who Hydra is. But in any case, I'll make this one quick. Hydra is a terrorist organization with only one goal in mind: world domination. They are the villain, all the time, without fail, end of story. As the woman approaches the men, she tells them an intruder has been found. But that's okay, he won't be a problem for long. Buying some much-needed time, Ronin scales the walls of the fortress. They need to leave now. Approaching the edge of the territory, Ronin looks back. This night is about to get much worse. They're coming. Entering the meeting of Clan Yashida, the woman in green explains to Harada exactly what's going on. S.H.I.E.L.D. is falling apart. It's been penetrated. Some organization is rotting it from the inside. But that's not all. Her organization, Hydra, is also being rotted from the inside, likely by the same culprit. This woman goes by two names: Viper and Madame Hydra. We'll stick with Viper though. First appearing back in 1969, her comic book history is needlessly convoluted and would probably take an entire video just to get through. So, for the Cliff Notes version, she has been a leading figure within Hydra and routinely clashes with Captain America, Wolverine, and the Avengers. If she's in the story somewhere, then you already know who we're gunning for. But at least she confirmed our suspicions. There is something wrong with S.H.I.E.L.D. Viper explains that Harada wasn't arrested. He was kidnapped and placed in prison in the United States. Whoever has infiltrated S.H.I.E.L.D. is trying to keep him away from Japan. Only he has the power to unite the Japanese criminal underworld. If left unchecked, he's a danger to the puppets pulling the strings of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. It's a good thing he broke out of prison when he did. Viper tells him they need to act fast if they are to go to war with these puppet masters. It's only a matter of time before they act first. Suddenly, the conversation is interrupted by one of the foot soldiers. They followed the intruder. He's with the Avengers. As the Avengers hold their position against the onslaught, one of the assassins screams out to his group, causing a complete and sudden retreat from the vicious battle. Dusting themselves off, the Avengers ask Ronin what just happened. Why did they leave? Ronin surmises that they attacked without permission. They must have been called back to the fortress. Either way, they know we're here and we need to leave now. Distracted, a confused Spider-Man calls out to the group. Where's Spider-Woman? As she approaches the Yashida fortress, Spider-Woman gazes down from the sky, eyes scanning for something or someone. Finding her target, she quickly approaches from above. Her face swells up with anger. But before she can speak, Viper explodes with rage. What are you doing here? Why are you in Japan? We had a deal. You tell us everything the Avengers do before they do it. Hydra gave you your powers back and Hydra can take them away. You do not betray us or we will end you. So let me clear things up. A few years back, Jessica ran into some problems with a supervillain named Morgan Le Fay. After a little skirmish, Morgan managed to separate Jessica's spirit from her body, which almost killed her. Doctor Strange was able to save her, but at the expense of her powers. So for the last little while, Jessica has been running around powerless until now.
Hearing the loud roar of the Avengers Quinjet, the women feel the clock running down. Knowing they cannot risk their deal being exposed, Viper tells Jessica to shut up and hit her. Now! As the Avengers approach, Steve asks what just happened. Why did she run off? Defensively, Jessica says she spotted her running from the fight. She merely tracked her down. If she hadn't acted when she did, Viper would have gotten away. Besides, they're not here for Viper. They're here for the Silver Samurai. He's the one they need to focus on. As the heavy sound of armor echoes throughout the courtyard, the Avengers turn around to see just the person they were looking for, Kenichiro Harada, the Silver Samurai. The Avengers and the Silver Samurai square off, the assassins of the Hand readying their weapons for combat. Captain America tells Harada that they know he was kidnapped and placed in prison. They will help him get to the bottom of this, but not if he sides with the Hand. Sick of all the talk, the Hand decides to strike the Avengers down. This meeting must have no witnesses. With blinding fast speed, Harada quickly dispatches the nearby Hand assassins. He has chosen his side. But before the Hand can retaliate, Iron Man raises his hand, energy coursing from his palm. It's his turn to act. As Iron Man's concussion blast fades, the courtyard fills with the unconscious bodies of the Hand assassins. Wasting no time, Captain America asks Harada what the purpose behind the meeting was. What does the Hand and Hydra want with him? How did he end up in an American prison in the first place? Harada explains that he fell asleep on his private jet and woke up in prison. It wasn't until the riot that he realized he was in New York. If the US government isn't behind this kidnapping, then we need to find out who is. Harada explains further. Viper believes that Hydra has been compromised, just like S.H.I.E.L.D. She plans on gathering the criminal underworld to root out the puppet masters. Looking at the Avengers in defiance, Harada tells them coldly, he is no one's puppet. Not the Hand, not Hydra, and certainly not America. With a glance that could pierce steel, Harada tells the Avengers it's time to leave. He needs to get his house in order, and they have a conspiracy to crack. As the Avengers fly over the Pacific Ocean, an eerie calm fills the air. Spider-Woman checks her surroundings with care. With a careful glance back to Viper, Spider-Woman sees the Hydra agent staring back at her. Having sat Viper over top the emergency exit, Spider-Woman realizes it's now or never. With the Avengers fast asleep, Jessica holds her breath. She tries to calm herself for what she's about to do. She reminds herself that she has no choice. This has to happen. She cannot go back to being powerless. Here goes nothing. As the emergency exit gives way, chaos erupts within the Quinjet. Jessica looks on in horror as both Viper and Captain America are violently sucked out the gaping hole. With no parachute nor ability to fly, Captain America is left to the mercy of gravity. Realizing her mistake, Jessica hurriedly jumps out the open exit. She spreads her arms, activating her wingsuit, and prays that she's not too late. Back on the Quinjet, the Avengers gather their composure. Viper has escaped, and it was likely not an accident. Iron Man informs the crew that Viper was searched before entering the Quinjet. It's unlikely she caused the malfunction. Spider-Woman holds her breath as she feels the inevitable confrontation.
Up ahead in the cockpit, Captain America stares out the front window, his eyes fixed in an angry gaze. Later that morning, the Avengers return to their New York headquarters. Exiting the Quinjet, Ronin apologizes for the disaster that happened in Japan. It never should have went down like that. Ronin tells them that they're heading back to Japan to make sure Harada stands by his word. He cannot be allowed to unite the criminal underworld. Iron Man, refusing to be left in the dark any longer, asks for the Ronin's identity once and for all. With the go-ahead from Captain America, Ronin begins removing their mask to reveal a young woman by the name of Maya Lopez.
If you don't read a lot of comics, then you probably aren't familiar with Maya Lopez. I mean, even if you do read a lot of comics, you're probably not familiar with Maya Lopez. She goes by the name Echo, and she has the ability to copy the movements of anyone she sees. She's also completely deaf. You will be more familiar with her soon though, because as of this video, she's finishing up her very own series on Disney+, so stay tuned for that.
Later that day, Jessica Drew sits alone in the Avengers kitchen, contemplating the disastrous events of the previous day. As she looks on in sorrow, she notices a figure standing beside her. It's Captain America. Steve looks down at Jessica for what feels like an eternity. He then simply asks, "Who are you working for?" Standing over the dinner table, Steve peers down at Jessica. He demands again who she is working for. Jessica explains that this conversation isn't fair to him. When she gets nervous, her genetics produce pheromones that physically attract men to her. It's a defense mechanism she cannot control. Crossing his arms, Steve is completely unaffected by her genetic manipulation. He repeats one final time, "Who are you working for?" Jessica's eyes drop to the floor. A look of overwhelming disappointment washes over her face. She begins to tell her story. Her entire life has been a mess. After receiving her powers from experimentation as a baby, Jessica became a Hydra agent at 17 years old. After being assigned to assassinate the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury, Jessica was saved from Hydra and placed on the right path. A Hydra agent, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and then a superhero. Her life was beginning to have meaning. That is, until her powers fizzled out and died. She was now nothing more than a regular human. She was normal. But normal was something she couldn't stand. It just wasn't in her DNA. She needed to crawl her way back from normalcy, and she was getting desperate. And that desperation caused the universe to take notice. It wasn't long before Hydra came knocking. "We can give you your powers back. We can give you everything you want, but there's a price you must pay." Steve understood where this was going. She was now a double agent for Hydra, and now Hydra has a hold on the Avengers. But Jessica knew she couldn't trust Hydra. She couldn't play for that team anymore, so she went to the one person she could trust, Nick Fury, the only man on the planet who has ever had her best interests at heart. Fury tells her to take the gig. Unbeknownst to all, she will function as a triple agent. While Hydra believes she is spying on the Avengers, she will actually be feeding all information through to Fury. And when the time is right, S.H.I.E.L.D. will take out Hydra, and Jessica will be safe. Looking down in shame, Jessica admits she was selfish. She endured an agonizing 17-month-long procedure and placed her friends in danger, all to get her powers back. Anything to not be normal. But now, with Fury out of the picture, Jessica has lost her support. She's now stuck in her relationship with Hydra.
Okay, so we have a bit of explaining to do. When Jessica first came to Nick Fury with this information, this was before a little event called Fury's Secret War. In this war, Fury sent a team of heroes to the country of Latveria to overthrow its government. Needless to say, didn't go well. In fact, it went so bad that Nick Fury is basically wanted the world over. This is a problem now because Jessica doesn't have Nick Fury's help. She's now stuck working for Hydra with no clear way out. You might be thinking, can't she just ask S.H.I.E.L.D. to help? Well, no. Remember the story so far. S.H.I.E.L.D. is corrupt. No bueno. As Jessica finishes her story, she reminds Steve that he made her an Avenger, and because of that, she is now Hydra's favorite double agent. As Jessica holds her head in shame, Steve looks up and asks, "Do you guys believe her?" Shocked, Jessica turns around to see the remaining Avengers sitting on in silence. There are no more secrets now. Steve asks Jessica where Fury has been hiding, to which she replies she doesn't know. But then, her phone begins vibrating on the table. Knowing who the likely caller is, Steve asks her to pick up the phone. It's about time they get to the bottom of this. As a holographic projection of Nick Fury appears from the phone, he explains that Jessica isn't at fault. He placed her in an impossible position and she had no choice in the matter. However, at the moment they have bigger problems. Fury tells the Avengers to turn on the TV. With the TVs displaying several live news channels, the reality hits them. They're now front and center on every media outlet in the world. Realizing that it's time to get in front of this, Tony Stark tells the team to get ready. It's time they announce the newly rebuilt Avengers to the world.
Alright, let's recap the story so far. With the escaped prisoners from the raft on the loose, the Avengers have decided to track down Kenichiro Harada, the Silver Samurai. This leads them to Osaka, Japan. When they arrive there, they notice 3 different criminal organizations planning a truce: the Hand, Hydra, and Clan Yoshida. After putting a stop to the meeting, Harada makes it clear that he shouldn't have been in prison in the first place. He was kidnapped by an unknown party for reasons we have yet to get to. Finally, we learn the truth behind Spider-Woman's betrayal. She was seemingly under the instruction of Nick Fury, who thought that working for Hydra could benefit S.H.I.E.L.D. That is, until Nick Fury went into hiding. Now, it's time to make this new Avengers roster official.
Carol Danvers is tossed through the air as a powerful blast of sonic energy tears into her backside, sending her flying directly into a prison transport helicopter. Recovering from the blast, Carol looks up to see Ulysses' claw creep forward, the man made out of pure sound energy. He's broken out of his prison transport and has already killed several guards. Without fail, he presses forward, pumping more energy into Carol's body. Blast after blast, he mounts an unwavering offensive. It's time to add a former Avenger to the kill count. Or so he thought. With a sly look of confidence overtaking her, Carol begins to show Claw why she's one of Earth's mightiest heroes. With the power to absorb any type of energy, Carol begins assimilating Claw himself. With no control over his own body, Claw's remaining energy is transferred to Carol. There's nothing he can do. Carol breathes a sigh of relief as she slowly dissipates the excess energy as heat. Claw should have done his research. As Carol dusts herself off, she notices the puzzled look on the guard's face. He asks her why she hasn't run back to New York yet. Confused, she asks him why. The Avengers are announcing their new lineup. Don't you need to be there? Perplexed, Carol looks off to the horizon. Maybe she should go after all. Arrived in New York City, hundreds of news vans dot the downtown cityscape. The excitement is palpable. As reporters begin filling up the streets below, Carol enters through the rooftop access doors and is quickly greeted by the new Avengers. As the Avengers get ready for the big announcement, Carol asks Steve for a minute of his time. There's something she needs to get off her chest. Now, with privacy, Carol opens up to Steve. For the past few years, she has felt a sense of unbelonging in the superhero world. For all her power, she's relegated herself to the B-list. Feeling like there's much more for her to give, she asks Steve to make a promise with her. With a spring of confidence, Carol tells Steve that she no longer wants to feel second tier. She wants to be one of the greats, as great as Captain America. Fulfilled with purpose, Carol promises Steve that she is going to earn that title and earn her place back in the Avengers. Steve tells her to take all the time she needs. There will always be a spot in the Avengers for her. With the big announcement just moments away, Iron Man rallies the group together. For those of you new to the Avengers, understand that this is where your life changes forever. And the effects of those changes will be felt immediately.
Case in point, Spider-Man. As if on cue, the publisher of the Daily Bugle himself, J. Jonah Jameson, appears, escorted by Jarvis. With a cool demeanor, Captain America confidently approaches Jonah. This is the start to a new Avengers team. Everyone needs to be on board, and that includes the media. There can be no more harassment of Spider-Man, no more bad press. America needs to be unified through and through. After years and years of media bombardment, the attacks on Spider-Man stop now. But in return, the Daily Bugle will have exclusive access to Avengers-related coverage. Quid pro quo. Realizing this is an important opportunity that can't be passed up, Jonah looks up at Spider-Man in defeat. He knows there's only one right move here. And for the first time since Peter Parker donned the suit, he strikes a truce with J. Jonah Jameson. The day is off to a good start. As Captain America stands before the screaming crowds, he feels a smile form across his face. This is it. This is why they do what they do. A few months back, the Avengers disbanded, but with their absence came a void that needed to be filled, and it could only be filled by one group of individuals, a group that would give their life for the people. Throughout the years, many Avengers have given their lives. They gave their lives so the world could go on, and the fallen need to be honored. In the spirit of their memory, we officially recognize the new Avengers. As the black of night sets its gaze over New York City, Jessica Drew sits alone in an empty bar. That is, until the sound of soft footsteps originates from the entrance. Sitting down, a man with long blonde hair gives a disappointed look. So, the Avengers know the truth about us, don't they? Looking up, Jessica tells him that's not all. Nick Fury is back, and he's working with the Avengers. They're going to try to take you guys down. Prepare yourselves.
And there we have it. So far, we are 15 issues into the new Avengers series, and a whole lot more to go. But don't worry, the series will continue to pick up more and more steam as it goes. Civil War, Secret Invasion, World War Hulk, those are just some of the big events that will be sprinkled into the series later on. So stay tuned for more. Now, if you want to follow the story chronologically, you'll want to watch out for my video on the House of M next. After that, head on over to the New Avengers Part 4. Don't forget, if you have any suggestions on the stories to cover, leave a comment below. As always, I'm Nashology, and this is A Marvelous Life. Okay.
Nice.
Good?
Yeah.
Whew.
Let's get that fan on.
God, man, yeah, please do.